Sports betting has been legalized in more than a dozen states. But if you could, would you bet on your future? How about the planet's future?
In our ongoing series on Maine's changing climate, News Center Maine meteorologist Keith Carson joins us to show us how that's even possible. Hey, Keith.
Hey guys, yeah, if you believe the world will continue to take steps towards a greener future where we emit less CO2, you can bet or invest on that belief in the form of an investment, an ETF, right from your couch. And I'm not talking about buying stock in Tesla, Rivian, or the latest electric vehicle darling. I'm talking about carbon credits. Let's start from scratch here. What is a carbon credit? A carbon credit is a permit issued by a governmental body that entitles a business to emit a set amount of CO2. One credit equals 1 ton of CO2 or an equivalent of other greenhouse gases. Companies are issued credits that allow a certain amount of emissions, and that limit is reduced slowly over time in order to limit total emissions and trend those emissions downward. However, if a company pollutes less than the carbon credit limit they've been allowed, they can sell their remaining credits to another company that's going to pollute more than they were allowed. This cap and trade program produces a double economic incentive to emit less carbon. One, they don't have to pay for additional credits, and two, they can profit by selling their unused credits to some other company. And herein lies the opportunity for investors like you and me to get involved with exchange-traded funds, or ETFs.
You can't actually buy the carbon credits directly, but there are ETFs that track the price of the carbon credits, and those recently came out over the past year and a half. And so now really any investor can participate in this market.
Okay, Robinhood investment hawk, you want some tickers to search?
The largest is KRBN, and that tracks a group of these ETS systems. So EU being the largest, and then California is the second largest. And the New England RGGI system is in there as well and as a small exposure. But then you actually they just launched individual ETFs for just the EU and just California, if you were interested in investing in those specifically.
KRBN, by the way, is officially Crane Shares Global Carbon Strategy ETF. Since this is a speculative asset, you're making a bit of a prediction if you go long on one of these ETFs. The prediction has to do with how the European Union and the United States especially will tackle climate change.
I think you're trying to bet on the idea that these carbon credits need to increase in value in order for a lot of the governments, for the European Union, for example, to meet its emissions goals. And those goals are very aggressive, and they won't be met unless the carbon price continues to increase to kind of drive that change to happen faster.
So if you believe climate change is an issue that governments won't necessarily take seriously into the future, this might not be the right investment product for you. Although there might be a spot for carbon ETFs in your portfolio, even if you aren't passionate about the topic yourself.
But so far, they show a relatively low correlation to other assets, which we find attractive as far as diversification goes of the entire portfolio. But definitely they have that encouragement of moving the use of energy away from things like coal, which are emitting very high amounts of CO2. So I think there's a value piece to that.
Over the past year, KRBN has increased in value by about 75%. But remember, past performance is no guarantee of future returns. The following was not investment advice, and SEC regulations require me to disclose that I hold a long position in carbon ETFs. So we're having a little fun with the end of that. And to be clear here, guys, I'm not necessarily in favor or against carbon credits as a governmental thing. That's like a whole other conversation. But just a lot of people are investing in different ways now, and some of them are doing with what they think is the right thing to do, and this is kind of a product for that.
And the stakes are high. All right, thanks, Keith.